undeniably the best pound-for-pound jiu-jitsu player on earth. Not just the best, but it's a pretty good statement to say that you're the best ever.
What if I told you the most dangerous grappler of our generation is this guy?
I won my first match, and I ran running off the mat into my dad's arms, and I told him I never want to compete again. I was crying because it was so scary as a kid, like fighting someone, you know. Definitely wasn't like a natural thing for me to do.
For the last 2 decades, Mikey Musumeci has dominated the Brazilian jiu-jitsu scene through technical prowess, innovative technique, and passion for the sport. He began training at the age of 4 and is currently a 9-time world champion and belt holder in a professional fighting league. But you don't accomplish these kinds of things without making a few enemies along the way. Between his technical obsession with jiu-jitsu, intellectual background, and awkward personality, if the rise of Darth Rigatoni isn't one of the most interesting sporting success stories, it certainly may be the weirdest. Mikey's story begins with a 4-year-old boy attending martial arts classes with his father, who, as a hobby, trained in Muay Thai kickboxing. Young Mikey watched in awe at the movements they were doing, and from that moment on, Mikey became obsessed. He would spend his mornings before school drilling and sparring with his sister Tammy and training at the gym after school. However, Mikey's Muay Thai career aspirations lasted just a few weeks as he and his sister Tammy began training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu a short time later at the age of 4, and later competed in his first match in the same year. Although he dominated his opponent in the match, Musumeci found himself terrified by the fight.
I didn't compete again until I was a lot older, like 9, 10 years old, and I was still horrified. And then when I went back to competing when I was like 9 or 10, I lost like every tournament I did because I was just so scared to compete. And I had this healthy part of me that I had to beat that fear.
However, he continued training, driven by his intense fascination with the sport. At the age of 10, he met his first real jiu-jitsu mentor when his family relocated to Florida. Here he trained at the Bussard Academy under MES Shark Bussard, a renowned Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt from American Top Team. Until now, Mikey had had a normal childhood outside of jiu-jitsu. However, he would soon face challenges after deciding at 11 years old that he wanted to be a world champion. The road to becoming a champion requires commitment and sacrifice. Mikey gave up various foods, trained endlessly, and remained mostly isolated, all while trying to navigate his adolescence and teenage years.
I had this insane instructor that disciplined me. Like his name was Shark, and he was like, "You can't eat cookies or brownies." I was like 10, 11 years old. "You'll never be a world champion if you eat this cookie. You can't date girls. You can't," like all these things. So I skipped basically being a teenager and just went to being an adult.
Jesus.
Deciding to give up brownies and friends in pursuit of a goal is not something most middle schoolers are willing to do, and it quickly became clear how serious Mikey was about the sport. For Musumeci, his time at Bussard Academy led to meeting a pair of brothers who were in the process of carving out their own legacy in the sport of jiu-jitsu. Rafael and Guilherme Mendes are two of the best grapplers of all time, winning the IBJJF World Championship a combined 10 times. The brothers often gave guest lectures at the academy where they quickly took notice of Musumeci. The duo took a liking to Mikey after noticing his intense desire to learn everything he could about the sport. Through this shared passion for jiu-jitsu came a long-lasting relationship as Mikey began to travel to California to train with the Mendes brothers at their academy. The Mendes brothers competed in the same weight class as Mikey, so they proved to be the perfect mentors to help him grow to the next level.
So represent a different part of jiu-jitsu, I feel. Like a lot of the people in jiu-jitsu are big, like alpha, buff guys, you know. Mm-hmm. Like I'm kind of like a nerd. Like you wouldn't think that I would be a jiu-jitsu person. And I feel like I show people that you don't have to be like a tough guy, like a big...
Instead of strength and speed, Mikey focused on technique, spending up to 12 hours a day to play out a vast spectrum of scenarios in a given position. Mikey could obsess with intense focus on details within details to smooth out edges and sharpen every tool he had available. What followed was a period of dominance. Mikey's winning streak started at the blue belt level. He then went on to win 4 IBJJF World Championships in different color belts and started to embrace the nerdy, technical angle he'd settled into. Mikey created a persona for himself, and Darth Rigatoni was born. At the young age of 18, Mikey acquired his black belt, the youngest person on record to accomplish this feat. He was 18 and a world champion, but he now had a different challenge to face in the form of a decision. After high school, Mikey went on to study business at Southeastern University in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He continued to compete in jiu-jitsu tournaments while taking classes and balancing life as a typical college kid. As he continued to progress in both school and jiu-jitsu, he understood he would eventually find himself at a crossroads. He could continue his education, go on to law school, become a lawyer, and keep jiu-jitsu as a hobby. Or abandon the safe route and discover just how good he really was at the sport he loved. It was during this period in college that Mikey set his sights on winning 4 black belt world championships and earning a spot in the Hall of Fame. Mikey wanted a legacy. He wanted to have the power and influence to teach the world the positive benefits of martial arts. And to do this, he needed to win, balancing his focus on his undergraduate studies and jiu-jitsu. Mikey continued to excel at new heights. He won IBJJF tournaments in 2016, 2017, before graduating from college in 2018 and winning again in 2019. In total, he won 5 black belt world championships, surpassing the goals that he had set just a few years earlier, and by this point, his name had become synonymous with the sport. Despite having an offer for a full-ride scholarship to law school, Mikey chose to continue his career in jiu-jitsu instead. At this point, Mikey had dominated the competition at every level of jiu-jitsu and began looking for new challenges. He entered the European Open in 2020 at the absolute class, where he would face competitors from any weight class. After a relatively easy victory in the first round, his second opponent, Saif Eddin Humeen, was more than twice his size, reportedly weighing in at over 300 pounds or 136 plus kilograms. Through technique, Mikey narrowly won this bout, but was later eliminated and unable to win the championship. With the challenge of fighting opponents at new weight classes, the obsession was back, and Mikey intensified his training, sometimes spending over 12 hours on the mat in one day. He would dedicate entire days drilling counters for a single move. And from this intensity came a new technique, the Mikey lock.
He's got to move, he's got to try to push, create that frame, and scramble. Yeah, and right now I can't believe he's still in there, but he's tough, man. He's doing a good job.
The Mikey lock is a variation of the heel hook, using the attacker's crook of the neck to rotate the defender's ankle.
So now, look at this. When I do the Mikey lock, which I'm going to explain in a second, the mechanical advantage of it is every time I connect my head to the spot here using my neck instead of my armpit, whenever he goes plantar flexion, he breaks his own foot here.
If the opponent tries to defend by twisting out of the hold, they can easily find themselves in a toe hold or knee bar. He even released a training video on the move in 2021.
With this position, when you defend going ballerina foot, it breaks your foot, literally, you know? So that's why I really have been using this position over and over, and I made this huge system with setups. Now when I connect this, it's hard. Now I have control of his heel. Then I wrap my fingers around it like so. Now what I do is I place his big toe under my head like so, okay? Once I connect my big toe under his head, notice how for him to open his knee now, it becomes super difficult. Okay.
Many fans began calling him out, saying it was a variation of different leg entanglements from catch wrestling or previous jiu-jitsu innovators. Mikey defended the submission while admitting that every move has likely been done by someone before. However, he is proud of creating a system around the submission to make it more effective. With multiple championships at the IBJJF level and his own signature technique, Mikey began searching for his next challenge, and that opportunity came knocking from one championship. One Championship is the largest fight sport promoter in Asia and a legitimate competitor to the UFC. Unlike the UFC, however, in addition to the mixed martial arts bouts, One also features professional kickboxing and grappling matches during its fight cards, and Mikey found a new, larger stage to showcase his jiu-jitsu on a professional level. In 2022, Mikey made his debut as a professional grappler and brought his years of experience to the One Championship arena. To put it simply, he did not disappoint. In his debut match, he submitted the legend Masakazu Imanari, namesake of the famous Imanari roll. The submission win would earn him a $50,000 bonus. Mikey continued his winning ways by winning the flyweight submission grappling world title by defeating Kleber Souza in his second match for the promotion in October of 2022, and then went on to defend his belt 3 more times in 2023. But in sports, oftentimes the attention that comes from winning is not always positive. Mikey dedicated his life training to prove that a fight sport champion could look and carry himself differently than what is often perceived as a stereotypical fighter. Musumeci is widely known for being one of the kindest people in the BJJ world. Darth Rigatoni often talks about discipline, kindness, camaraderie, and setting a good example for the next generation. In 2023, he even held a benefit seminar for one of his friend's fathers, Hinato Tagliari, when he was diagnosed with lung cancer, donating 100% of the funds to the treatment of Hinato's father. Musumeci aims to use his influence for good. However, the kindness and calm demeanor would soon be challenged when he faced an opponent who he felt disgraced the sport altogether, Gio Martinez. Leading up to a match in 2021, Gio antagonized him and made fun of him for speaking Portuguese. At the beginning of their match, Martinez attempted to break Mikey's finger, which enraged him, and for the first time, Mikey openly reacted to what he perceived as bullying. Mikey went on to beat Gio Martinez and in the post-match interview demanded Martinez's respect. Prior to Gio Martinez, Mikey had no history of even acknowledging bullies. Early in 2024, however, he reacted again. An infamous influencer known online as Sneeko called Mikey out, saying jiu-jitsu was, quote, for girls and autistic people. Mikey broke character once more and challenged Sneeko to an MMA fight.
I really don't like bullies, guys. And there's this guy named Sneeko making fun of me, making fun of my friend, making fun of jiu-jitsu. He calls himself a boxer. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. Let's have an MMA fight. I challenge Sneeko to an MMA fight. I'm going to shut his mouth and I'm going to take the bully's lunch money.
Mikey's perspective on respect in the sport hasn't changed, continuously standing against what he feels to be unfair. Musumeci has grown up, and it's time that we all give Darth Rigatoni the respect that he deserves.